Thank you so much for stopping by. We get isolated, and I don't have anybody that I really can say, what do I do? The When I was a young mom, I had a chance to read a book or run around with all the friends that also had little ones, and we bounced ideas off of each other. But that doesn't happen very often in my situation where um, I get together with a group and maybe we'll talk about the grandkids, but it's usually like, oh, aren't they so cute? Yeah. We never ask questions that will help us in our daily lives. So I'm hoping that this one will, this video will be one that you can contribute to, because all need some great ideas. And thank you again so much for stopping by, and we'll get started on it. I got to go to the Grandi Juniors for a week. I just got back. Been home for 2 days recuperating. I'd forgotten what it's like to have little ones around all the time. You feed them and they want to be fed again, and then some more. It's like, what are you? What are you doing? I fed you. Have fun now. So it was really fun. We had a good time. I was very aware of the rules that we've been talking about. I One of the things that I wanted to show you was something that I had to laugh at myself about, because I had just gone kind of on and on about how much stuff everyone has to bring when they bring a baby nowadays. And so I wanted to show you something. This is how I packed. So now I take it all back. I wanted my stuff, my own bed, my own food. Oh, so we all need our stuff, I guess. But I was so happy to be able to go, and they were such gracious hosts. They um they really do incorporate me into the family, and that's lots of fun. I had a couple of times when I stopped myself. Um, I wanted to make sure that I followed the rules for visiting grandparents. I did not get out the time machine as much as I used to. I made sure that if I watched any TV, it was while the babies were sleeping. I made sure that I didn't just play with the baby, well, sort of a lot, but helped with dishes and dinner and that kind of stuff. So that was fun. I had a really good time. It was great. And it was nice to be able to get a hold of the Grandi Juniors, because even though you get videos in between visits, it kind of makes me sad. So I want to know what you do to be able to kind of keep connected in between visits, because it's going to be a long time now before I see them again. So that makes me sad. But I know that I'm looking for some things that I can do that will promote a relationship between the Grandi Juniors and I. What can I contribute during this time of change in my family? And your families have already handled it, I'm sure. So let's take a look at a couple of things that I'm interested in accomplishing. So see if you have some ideas that you can help me with, because I have some, but I'm not sure they're exactly what we're looking for. There are two different ways that I have to think about keeping in touch for everybody. And that is, sometimes distance is not a problem geographically, and other times you're way far away from each other. So there would be some different ideas about how to keep in touch with each other in between visits, but some of them are not going to be possible if you have a distance, if you have a long distance. My distance is close enough that I can go, but it's a thing. to be able to go. I just can't pop over to the soccer game. So speaking of soccer games, I wanted to find some contributions that were less like a chauffeur kind of a thing, helping out the family. All of that is so important. If you can do that and contribute that way, and you want to, have some boundaries and pick your times, that is fine. When you take them, when I go to a soccer game or dance class or an activity, what happens is I'm sitting on the sidelines talking to other adults and they're playing. That's not an interaction between the two of us. So I don't want to eliminate those at all. I just want to add to it, add to some of those experiences. So we have to look at it from, let's start with the distance. I had an idea that might be more interactive. I know it'll build on the relationship between us, but I also think it might help with being part of the family, the whole family, let's say. What do you think about about gaming? What if you could set up with the family, talk to the whole family, come up with a game that you can play with your grandchild. So I'm going to ask, can I play, let's say, chess? If a Grandi Jr. is a super chess person, I don't know. There's a lot of games out there, and I'm not talking about those first shooter games where you blow each other to pieces. Plus that I'm really bad at those. I'm the little guy in the corner that spins in a circle. So the reason that I was thinking about gaming was because it's an interaction between you and the other person. So for me, it would be really nice to be able to not only play the game with one of the grandkids, but also maybe when you get together in real life, you have a whole lot of vocabulary. You can talk about how you did. You can talk about how lame you are, whatever. There's a bunch of them out there. I'm a retired teacher, so I have some experience with games that students can play that are appropriate, and some are educational and some are just for fun. But if you can get together with your family and find out which one would be appropriate, maybe that would be a good idea, because that way there is an interaction between the two of you, and some of them, you can play with everybody. It's kind of like game night. So you could have maybe one day a week where you are the leader. Oh, well, you're always the leader, but you promote a game night, and it's such a big contribution to the lives of children, to their vocabulary, to your taking care of yourself. They're really good for you to learn something new. Every time you learn something new, it makes those brain cells work, and everything is exciting. You get a chance to learn something. If you don't know how to play the game, you can get on YouTube, and they always have really good videos on how to play all these different games and what's available and what's the best for kids and all of that. So all of that's good for you too. And I love it because it makes me think. It's very easy at my age just to say, I do the same thing every day, and now I do the same thing every day. And it makes my brain hurt when I start something new. So I love it. I think you'll like it too. I hope that you understand that this is a contribution of time and some education and some real stability for the family, especially for the little ones. You're there, you're consistent, you are focused just on them. This is a huge contribution, and I hope it works. But I want to know what you think. I want to know what else you do to be able to spend time with the Grandi Juniors that is meaningful and that creates that conversation that is not just you talking at them. There are lots of things to do in your own town and when you visit together. And we'll talk about that in just a second. I want to hear what you have to say about all of you lucky ducks that are in the same place with your Grandi Juniors, how you interact with the Grandi Juniors on a level that's just you and them, or just the family and you. How you take care of yourself while you do it, what boundaries do you set, and we'll get some good ideas. So let's talk about some of the activities that you can do in your town if you're lucky enough to be with your Grandi Juniors in town. Field trip time. Once again, if you can add to the family's hectic schedule and take something off the plate by taking kids to soccer practice or dance or whatever, that's wonderful. And in addition to that, what do you do that promotes the relationship between you and the Grandi Juniors, that help make your family stable and secure and happy? And ideas can range anywhere. I mean, it doesn't have to be a big vacation. Kids want time, and I'm looking for activities to do that include time with them. So the idea really is, what can you do so that you have something to talk about? Or what do you do to kind of lend some space for them to talk to you? Sometimes if we get too hectic and let's go here and let's go to the amusement park, let's go to the movies, that doesn't allow you to talk, or it doesn't allow them to talk. So I'm kind of looking for something that's a little bit more interactive between the two of us. So I was thinking, for instance, I'll get us started. I travel a lot, and when we travel, one of the things I like the best is to be a tourist. I own it. I don't try and fit in. I'm like, hey, I don't know where anything is. What's available? Kind of look at some activities maybe in your area like a tourist and say, oh, never been to that building, let's go see. I think that most everyone can come up with some ideas, but even the littlest things, like going to get ice cream. When you sit down and have an ice cream, and it's not in the car, you have an opportunity to create space for conversation. And I think that space is so important because it allows kids to kind of, especially the older ones, to kind of sit next to you and talk instead of sitting across and having a conversation where you're doing all the talking or you're asking a million questions. Sometimes silence works and they just kind of open up a little bit. Never know. You never know. Just you being there matters. You contribute because you are there and you're available. That's one of the reasons too you need to have your boundaries. So sitting there looking at your phone because you have 14 other things that you should be doing is not going to be as valuable as setting that phone in your purse. You know it's still there. And just kind of focusing on the little things. And your presence means so much. You can't imagine how it makes a child feel. And I'm hoping that some of the activities that we come up with and some of the ways you keep in contact in between visits. How do you keep in contact between visits? How do you contribute during this time of change between visits? How do you take care of yourself so that you're not the go-to person for all the dentist appointments? Not exactly interactive. It's kind of like, now you're being the mom again. Rah! I don't want to. I want you to know how much I appreciate it. This is, for me, this is just so much fun and so exciting to hear from you and to hear what everybody else does. When I was a young mother, I had a book I could read. I had friends I could talk to, but I'm a little bit isolated now because I don't work, so I don't get to talk to other grandparents about it. So it's a thing.